So wonderful. We've been trying for that for ages, and I'm so delighted we got to meet Julie. Next is Jenni Avins. Jenni was a graduate of our entrepreneurial program and our journalism program. We're not allowed to say we have favorite students, but she's a great student. And then Jenni had some great ideas around fashion and journalism, and was working on those. Closet Tour was as I recall the name of it. But then Jenni went off and, God bless her, got a great job at Quartz.
Yeah.
Where you do what?
I am the lifestyle correspondent. So we cover food, fashion, travel, also things like productivity, family. I like to say that lifestyle at Quartz is not just about sort of how you shop, which is where it tends to fall a lot of places, but it's really how we live, both when we're working and when we're not.
Quartz likes to say you don't have a beat, you have an obsession. Mm-hmm. So your obsession, lifestyle is a little broad.
It is broad.
So is that your obsession?
I mean, broadly, yes.
Yeah.
But obsessions, they sort of come and go a little bit. So there was a little while earlier this year, and I could see myself getting back into it, where I was very interested in diamonds and engagement rings and sort of all the stuff we have around that and like what a loaded purchase it is, and spent some time sort of working on the science of diamonds and the way that we buy them and how they're priced. And
you do get obsessed. One of your best pieces that I showed to students the other day was your fur coat piece, which was not for Quartz.
No.
It was earlier. We'll talk about that for just a second.
Well, that does speak to an obsession, which I think the diamonds thing does too, which is the origins of things. It's something I've always been interested in. And that's really fun because we can do those stories for food, we can do them for fashion, sort of how we get our consumer goods and where they come from and how they're made. So I think an obsession can also be a way of thinking about something.
You saw the making of a fur coat from the beginning, shall we say.
I participated in the
whole
making
thing.
of it.
Right,
I did.
and that face that you just saw, you saw the pictures with it, which was fascinating. But it was about learning where things come from in a journalistically curious way. Mm-hmm. Before we get to the guests you're bringing in,
yeah.
We'll be self-centered and talk about his journalism school. You just heard Julie and me talking about the skills we should be imparting. You graduated from here how long ago?
2009 or 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What didn't we teach you we should have?
Oh, God, what a good question. What didn't you?
What surprised you when you got out there?
You know, I think something that, okay, this isn't meant to be a sort of backhanded way of avoiding the question, but something that I learned really right away, and it did come from the grant project I got to do, was sort of how great it was to have a little bit of money to spend on a project and sort of how to spend a budget really well. So we produced a few webisodes, and it was sort of like, you know, where do we want to spend our money? Is it on a shooter? Is it on an editor? I had an amazing producer, Julie Miller, who now does, she's working on like a comedy channel for Refinery 29 called Riot. And Julie came on and she was like, I don't need to be paid. I'm so excited to work on this project. And she helped me figure out how to build a team. And that was really helpful. I think especially for an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think one thing we're trying to figure out more and more is this, and you mentioned it going way back, is production.
Yeah.
Understanding how to produce something, how to create a product, how to think through all those steps is a skill that we didn't have because we filled a newspaper, we filled the holes with stuff that we call content, and that's how about a Quartz? Because Quartz is one of the innovators we have. God bless them. We can proudly call it a New York company.
Yeah.
Even though its roots are also in Washington.
Quartz is totally, I mean, it's global. We're everywhere.
Yes.
But headquarters are in New York, certainly.
What makes Quartz different?
I think it's a startup within a sort of older media company. And
The Atlantic.
Part of the Atlantic media. And I think that some of that startup mentality that you were talking about a minute ago, where sort of staying nimble and staying entrepreneurial, that's really encouraged. So, like right now, I'm working on a weekly newsletter that's going to come out on Fridays. People can DM me if they want to be part of the beta.
Go ahead and plug it.
It's called Quartzy, and yeah, it's coming out on Fridays. We're still very much in the beta stages, but looking for feedback. And so if people want to sign up for it, they can DM me at Jenni Avins or email me, Jenni@QZ. But yeah, so I think it's that same sort of thing where we are a startup within a bigger media company, and we're encouraged to experiment, that story formats are almost non-existent, that it's sort of, that every single story you, in a sense, you kind of like reinvent the wheel, and it's, well, what's the best way to tell this story?